I want to follow up on another story we covered last week about StarLink. So, this has actually been one of the stories we've gotten quite a bit of feedback on as well from both sides of the aisle. Either those hardcore Elon Musk fans are saying, yes, he's crazy. Yes, he likes money, but he actually is also trying to save the world. And the other end of the spectrum of comments saying, are you actually totally naive thinking that Elon gives a shit about the universe? I will still be firmly placed in the first camp, but I welcome opinions from the rest of you out there. But SpaceX, according to CNBC, are ready to launch the StarLink satellite internet service next month, putting it out at a price point of $99 a month, according to an email that was circulated to what SpaceX argues is 700,000 people across the United States who have expressed an interest in purchasing the starting package and the continued subscription with the internet service. Well, I think first of all, to me, what was interesting about the story is like, what are the benefits and the potential of this, and what's like not really living up to its potential as of this moment. So you guys already know I'm a huge fan of the Starlink satellite project. I think it comes in pretty hefty. You have to spend $4.99 to get the set, like the equipment that makes you capable of accessing the internet.
That's some pretty penny.
That's a lot of money, especially because we've been talking about the potential of Starlink bringing communities online in developing worlds, right? So that's where we want to go with it. So if your buy-in ticket right now is $4.99 and $99 a month, and I just looked up, internet prices are widely different across the globe. But for example, I looked up Washington D.C. I used to live there, and you can get like a monthly internet connection from like $29.99 to like $70, and of course it depends on the speed you want as well. But there are some things that make me optimistic about it. So, well, first of all, their name. Do you know what they call the beta test that you can actually sign up for now?
How is it called?
It's called the Better Than Nothing beta. And SpaceX, they said, we're trying to lower people's expectations of what it will be like, which is like an interesting comment, like, we really don't want you to be too excited about this. It is probably going to suck for a while, but you're buying into an idea. You're buying into the idea of spreading internet across the globe. And while the connection will be fairly slow, spotty, and sometimes, according to themselves, non-existent in the beginning, we know from having observed technology since the beginning of technology that for a while prices are high and then they go down. So as demand increases and the tech becomes better, you can lower the price point tremendously. I mean, I think one of the best examples of this is 23andMe and the gene test and the ability to map your entire genome, or not the entire genome, but certainly significant parts of it. That used to cost around $1 million, and now you can get a 23andMe DNA test, I think, again, for like around $100 or around $130 if you want like the full extended pack. So lots of promise in that. Also, I like this idea. Well, first of all, once it works, it will be, and I firmly believe it will be, a better connection. But not just that, this idea that I'm a global human being and I'm not tied to a connection at my house. Like, why do I have an internet connection at my house and my summer house? Why do I need to pay for internet when I'm traveling? So I like this idea that you have your equipment, and it doesn't matter if I'm here or I'm in the Amazon or wherever I am, I have my connection with me with this global network spanning the globe of connection. But I think we also have to keep in mind that we're pretty far away from that happening at this moment. So it's not just then that this Better Than Nothing beta is just in the United States. There still has to be a pretty significant investment for this to go global. So already there's 900 Starlink satellites, and it's cost over $10 billion.
Wow.
$10 billion. And we're just covering like a fraction of space. So it will need to be expanded further. But the people behind SpaceX actually believe that it will gross $30 billion in its first year, like operational year. So they're saying, yes, it's expensive, But according to our, huge Excel spreadsheet, we are going to make a ton of money on this, 10 times as much as they're actually doing on their space missions.
It reminds me of the whole story behind cell phones and how they came to be. So back in the days, you remember we used to have these inline home phones, and when the cell phone came, it was like this big chunk that's not very useful. And most people were like, yeah, why would I spend the money on that? It's so expensive, it's so uncomfortable wearing that thing with me all the time. But now, like 15, 20 years later, cell phones are probably devices that are much more than phones, and just the phone capability is the last thing you think about when you're thinking a cell phone. So this whole network, it can turn into something that internet is not the main functionality of it. It could be something much bigger that we're just yet to see.
No, I completely agree. And when we see these innovations being born, we just see snippets of their entire potential. And I think the cell phone to me is the best example of that. I remember my grandfather was one of the first people in Denmark that had a cell phone. Before he had a cell phone, he had a phone installed in his car. He drove an old imported Cadillac, which today is like a total no-go. And it was just so cool, and everybody would turn their head, when we would drive by. He was a farmer who, kind of like the American dream again. He worked his whole life. All he wanted was a Cadillac. He ended up having a collection of Cadillacs, and one of those had this brown, like beige brown phone installed in the car. And I remember the first time it rang, and I was like, we're on the highway and there's a phone calling inside the car. It was wild, right? Fast forward a few years, I bought my first cell phone. It came in kind of like a suitcase.
Yeah, right.
It was like a yellow suitcase you got at the store. It was like, can I have a cell phone? It was like, and you like brought it home, and it was huge, just this block. And it cost so much to call people. Like everybody would like run out of money on their phone in like 2 seconds, because you would like use these cards that you scraped and put on there. And then like, who would have thought that, then came like, the iPod, the idea of like you could have all of your music like in your pocket in this tiny device. And then all of a sudden there's like merging of like, why don't we put everything we like on the phone? Like our calculator, or, like, I mean, anything you could imagine is on there now, right? Or fitness programs, or maps, or like our wallet, our entire life is on there.
And the SIM cards, there used to be these big plastics, the credit card size, which was like hilarious.
Exactly.
And now you don't even have a SIM card. Some devices like the Apple Watches with just eSIM.
Yeah.
Internet connection.
Yeah. So I'm sure they've got some other plans up their sleeve that some of you out there have better ideas about what they are. Feel free to comment and give us hints on what you think this StarLink satellite network is going to be used for, in addition to just spreading internet connection.